This is the Teach Me Fashion long sleeve flared top. After cutting your garment out, notch all your seam allowances and balance marks using sharp scissors. With right sides together, pin the front and back at the shoulders. Stitch together using a slight zigzag stitch, or if you have an overlocker, use that. This will stop the seam breaking if the fabric stretches. I have cut a strip of knit 6 centimetres or 2.5 inches wide that is more than long enough to go around the neck. I prefer to do this as knits can have different stretch, and I like to pin the band on while the garment is on the stand. I understand that not everyone has a stand, so as a rule of thumb, 2/3 of the neck edge measurement is a good guide. Fold the strip in half and, starting at one of the shoulder seams, pin the band as it would sit when finished, and make sure you are pinning it through the seam allowance of the band and the neck edge. When you get back to the point where the band crosses over, make sure you leave an overlap for the seam allowance to sew the band into a tube. Notch the shoulder of the band and the centre back. That gives you a reference to pin to. Now take the top off the stand and stitch the band to form a tube. Try not to unpin the band from the neck edge too much. Now turn the band so you have right sides together as you would have it if you are to sew it. While you are doing all this pinning, you can pin the sleeves into the armhole of the top as well. Fold the sleeve in two and you will notice one side of the armhole is wider than the other. This is the back of the sleeve. So with the right sides together and matching the notch in the top of the sleeve with the shoulder seam, pin the sleeve into the armhole, making sure the back of the sleeve is towards the back of the armhole. Now, using the same slight zigzag stitch, sew the neckband into your top and your sleeves into your armholes. I am trimming the seam allowance because it tends to show bumps through the outside of the sleeve head. Now pin the side seams together all the way through from the hem to the end of the sleeve. Stitch these seams using the slight zigzag or an overlocker. I have the armhole allowance going into the sleeve head, but it doesn't really matter which way you have it as long as you do the same to both sleeve heads. Press your side seams open. There is no need to neaten these seams because you are using a knit, but obviously an overlocker would give a much more professional finish on the inside. Press up the sleeve hems and the hem as well. Go back to the machine and using a slight zigzag stitch, stitch all these hems up. Give your garment a final press. Quick and easy.